Welcome to the afternoon edition of JLR Sports Betting and Daily Fantasy for this Monday, March the 15th, 2021. And we are here on tournament week. It's like Christmas is coming. Everyone's doing their shopping for brackets and trying to get an underdog or a winner or a value. So, and there's a ton of it in the bracket. When they came out last night with the release, I saw a ton of value on there. And there's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be really exciting because I think this year you're going to have more upsets in the first and second round than any other year, and that's just because it was just a weird year for college, and it's just finding where those matchups are and who matches up against who is basically where we're going to look at today. And I'm going to bring in my colleague Len Martin. Len, how you doing today?
Good, man. Really pumped up for, Thursday, the playing games, and then Friday will be a good day to start 12:15 first tip. And, that's where the magic happens, man. It's my favorite time of the year.
Hell yeah, baby. That's, I can already hear Dickie V saying, it's awesome, baby. March Madness, the diaper dandies. I cannot wait. Bill Raffley, Bill, just a little kiss off the glass. It's the
part
best.
about that is like not having it last year, makes it a little bit more hungry this year to get it in and watch it.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. But we're gonna bring the bracket up. Let's take a look and see what we got.
All right, so here we're sharing a bracket. If you look to the left of the bracket, we have the West. We got Gonzaga to 1 with Iowa to 2. There's some good, solid key matchups in here. The 8-9 is Oklahoma, Missouri. You have Creighton against UCSB, Virginia against Ohio, and then USC. And then they got to play the playing game between Wichita State and Drake. Kansas, they're in there after getting knocked out with COVID of their conference tournament. And then here's a matchup that I like so far is Oregon and VCU 7-10. Joe, what do you like on the west side of the bracket?
On the west side of the bracket, one thing is clear. Gonzaga has a good path to get to the Final Four. I don't see anybody really competing with Gonzaga there. The matchup that I'm actually looking at is Virginia at that 4 slot against Ohio. I think Ohio can come into that game. Now, Virginia plays lockdown defense, but they had to sit and they had to quit the ACC tournament because of COVID. So they sat for a little bit. I think that could play into Ohio's hands. And Ohio is a team that can score, and they score, I think, 80 points a game. Now, granted, the competition hasn't been, like, they don't play in the ACC or like a big power conference, but they got some guys that can put up some points. So that 4-13 matchup is intriguing to me. Right above that, Creighton against UCSB is another matchup I'm looking at where you could have Cinderella. You could have a 13 and a 12. That's what I'm looking at out of this bracket. This could be the bus. This could be the section here in the West where this could really bust a lot of brackets.
Yeah, looking at it, you hit it dead on. Gonzaga getting to the Final Four should be a pretty easy task, with looking at the teams. Like I said, Kansas, Iowa, whoever gets there, if they even make it there, because Kansas, like I said, got taken out with the COVID for their conference tournament. Iowa are coming off a couple key losses, unless their big guy could get it back in there. But looking at this, I don't think anybody could fight off Gonzaga going to the Final Four. If we're going to look at the south side of the bracket, we got Baylor at the 1 and Ohio State at the 2. And then some key matchups here is, an 8-9, where usually back in the day, this could have been a championship game with North Carolina, Wisconsin. Villanova, Winthrop, Purdue against North Texas, Texas Tech and Utah State, Arkansas and Colgate, and then Florida and Virginia Tech. Joe, how do you feel about the South bracket?
I'm looking at the South. I really expect Baylor to come out of here. They have one of the best backcourts, if not the best backcourt in basketball, and for college. And they got 4 guys are scoring threats. So I look at Baylor. That Carolina-Wisconsin game, I look for Carolina to kind of flex its muscle. against Wisconsin. They play two different style of basketball. Carolina likes to run up and down the floor versus Wisconsin, who just plays at a snail's pace, basically. That 5-12 matchup there is going to be a very popular play with Villanova and Winthrop. Gillespie went down for Villanova. I don't think they're the same team. That's the heart and soul of Villanova. I think Jay Wright will have him up for the challenge, but I just think that's too big of a piece. So I'm looking at Winthrop as a 12 as a possible upset. In my mind, it wouldn't be that much of an upset, but a 12 over a 5. Let's see what else we got. Colgate. I'm not going to say they're going to upset Arkansas, but these are two teams. It's going to be the first one to 90, I think, will win this game. Virginia Tech, Florida, that's a good matchup. Ohio State should have an easy road. I'm looking at Baylor and Ohio State coming out of here. I don't see any team that could really put up a fight against those two teams. What do you say, Lynn?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the bracket, a lot of people are jumping on Baylor. I might try to think outside the box on this one. I was high on Arkansas, before they lost the conference championship. They had that one little hiccup, but the game was about 72-71. And, at that point in the fourth quarter, a game like that in the March Madness could go anyway. So I wouldn't count out Arkansas, although they have a really tough matchup against Colgate. If they could get through that game, and then, you got to look at Texas Tech, they play in a pretty tough conference that, they can do some noise in there. They could be a possible Sweet 16 team. But yeah, and you can't really sleep on Ohio State based on the fact is they just are in a dogfight, it feels like, every game, So if they're down a bunch of points, they find a way to bring it back. And, 2 minutes left in the game in the second half, they're right there in every game. So, a couple coin flips are what you need in March Madness, but I can see them, doing some damage. And, I'm hoping that I might do something a little different from everybody else and try to get somebody else besides Baylor in there. I didn't get to fully look at it yet, but Baylor is probably the best team in here, but what could happen to March Madness? Anything.
Oh, it's a coin flip, absolutely.
So we'll move down to the bottom portion of the bracket. Looking on the east side, Michigan's the number 1 with Alabama at the number 2. And here's probably the 8-9 matchup. This is also, it could be one or the other, but LSU against St. Bonaventure, I think that's going to be a really good 8-9 matchup. And then, you're looking over here at Colorado and Georgetown. Georgetown's been on a heater, and they got the 12 seed after winning their conference championship. Florida State, and then UNC Greensboro, BYU, and then this is also going to be a good battle between Michigan State and UCLA to get into that 11 spot. Texas, and then they're playing, it looks like, a Christian school. And then UConn and Maryland. How do you feel about the East?
Looking at the East, I want to say this is the portion of the bracket where the number 1 is most vulnerable. I think that Michigan. Hang on a second. I got to decline this call. There we go. All right, am I back?
You're good.
All righty. This is the part of the bracket where I think the number 1 is the most vulnerable. Like I said, Michigan comes into the tournament. They're not playing their best basketball, I feel like. They lost to Michigan State. They got blown out by Illinois. I think the Wolverines are in trouble as early as the second round. That winner of that LSU St. Bonaventure game, I think, is going to be hungry. And I think they can play with Michigan. Michigan also down the starter, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe one of their guys is hurt. If he's not a starter, he's a 6-man that comes off the bench. But, 6-man in March Madness, you need to ride deep into this.
Absolutely. You need a team with depth. So that LSU St. Bonnie's game, just to go what you're saying, is going to be a barn burner. That could be the best game in the first round. But we'll see what happens there. Both teams play, I want to say, a similar style. Well, St. Bonaventure, let me take that back. St. Bonaventure actually known for maybe a lockdown D kind of. LSU likes to put up points, so that's going to be, It's one or the other. Who's going to good offense or good defense? Take your pick. That 5-12 matchup again is going to be popular with Georgetown just coming off a Big East championship against the Colorado team. Georgetown's a team that can make noise. And, I mean, that's going to be a popular play, I think, in the first round. Florida State and UNC Greensboro, I don't really see anything out of the ordinary there. Michigan State's an interesting team because, go ahead, I want you to throw out the facts here on Michigan State quick.
Yeah, so for Michigan State, I mean, and I never heard of this ever before, especially at an 11 seed, is they beat 3 out of the 4 the number 1 teams. You know what I mean? They beat Michigan, they beat Illinois, and they who else we got up here? We just talked about, and Baylor, right? I mean, that's pretty unheard of. I don't know if they beat Baylor, but I know it's 3. I don't know who else they beat, but 3 out of the 4 they said number 1 seeds. But I mean, you don't know what kind of team you're getting in with Michigan State. You know, they're either going to come in and, you know, they're going to play their game, or they're going to come in and lay an egg. I mean, there's multiple times where we put bets on Michigan State, either winning the game or losing the game, and whatever way we picked it went the opposite way. So Michigan State is a tough pick, and literally I don't know how to play them, to be honest with you.
Like Jekyll and Hyde, because like you said, they could play like a number 1 seed and then they can just play like total shit like they belong in the NIT. The team that I'm looking out for here is Texas. Sims is playing like a monster inside. Shaka Smart has experience. He took VCU, I believe, the 2 Final Fours, or they had deep runs when he was at VCU. So he's familiar with success in the tournament. He's a very smart coach. He's a player's coach. He's a smart coach, though. So I look for Texas to make a run. I mean, they're equipped. They just won the Big 12, which arguably was the hardest conference to play in this year. So I look for Texas to make a run. That 7-10 game, my Huskies, I got the Terps in the first round. I think Book Knight and company should take care of business. Maryland's they're not a bad team. I mean, Maryland's a decent team, but they're definitely a team that I believe UConn could beat. And Rick Pitino back in the tournament, 5 teams he's taken to the NCAA tournament. I wonder what they're thinking in Kentucky right now.
Yeah, no, I saw. I mean, all the Kentucky teams that are in there are like, and Rick Pitino, who's bringing Iona in there, is like, it's pretty mind-boggling.
Exactly. But I think Alabama there, obviously, at the number 2 seed, can make a run into the tournament. And they got, I believe it's the SEC Player of the Year was Jones. And they're good. I watched that LSU Alabama game over the weekend, the championship game, and it was an instant classic. 80-79 came down the wire. LSU almost put a bucket in to win the game as time expired. So I look for Alabama, though. They're riding momentum off a conference championship, and they can make some noise. So let's go over to the what I consider it's going to be a dogfight. The Midwest is packed. The Midwest could be its own bracket.
Yeah, I mean, the winner of the Midwest could literally get its own championship from the looks of it.
It should. We'll break it down from top to bottom. We'll start with Illinois. They got Drexel. Illinois arguably playing the best basketball of anybody in the country right now. They're deep. I mean, they have a guy off the bench. What is it, Coberto?
Yeah.
I mean, he could start. I mean, he puts up great numbers. He got good ball handling skills. So anytime you get deep in the game and you can bring somebody off the bench, maybe you sit Cockburn. I love how they call him Coburn on TV. The guy's name's Cockburn, and they call him Coburn.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Cockburn, he'll have his way with just about anybody. No pun intended. But, no, the guy's a monster. Like, he's getting, like, comparisons to, I heard the other, like, Shaquille O'Neal. And anytime you throw a Shaq as a dominating figure, that's pretty good. So I just look for Illinois to make a run. I mean, they got all the tools to get the job done, and they're riding a lot of momentum. The next game underneath that 8-9 matchup, along with that other 8-9 on the other side with St. Bonnie and LSU. This one could steal the show. You got a very hot Georgia Tech team coming in. They're playing with passion. If you saw that kid, that post-game interview for Georgia Tech, did you see that?
Yeah, I mean he's ready to go, man. Like he was crying. He was pretty much emotional, and that's what the best part is. I like about March Madness is it brings something out of you.
Now Georgia Tech, like a true underdog, they won the ACC, but yet the best seed they can get is a 9. I mean, I think that's disrespect. I think they're seeded correct. Don't get me wrong. Well, I think that's a little slap in the face when you have a conference champ and they're at a number 9. Loyola Chicago, though, man, they play 40 minutes. They don't take possessions off. They're pesky. They'll be up in your face on defense. I mean, they're going to be a tough out. That is, I don't have a prediction. Like, that's a coin flip if you're going to pick that game, as far as I'm concerned. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the one and why we're calling this a dogfight is you have 5 conference champions in one side with Illinois, Georgia Tech, Oregon State, San Diego State, and then Houston. You know what I mean? That's why we are calling this a dogfight. I mean, conference championship in big conferences, you know what I mean? Like you're talking about Big Ten, ACC. And I think this is just going to be a brutal matchup, like I said. What a couple of good matchups, like Loyola Chicago, Georgia Tech. I mean, that's going to be another 8-9 matchup. That's going to be something to watch. Oklahoma State, you can't forget about them. They made a huge run. They got probably maybe the best player in the country, number 1 draft pick on their team. And then Oregon State just coming out of nowhere and win their conference championship after beating like Oregon and a bunch of quality wins after that. I mean, you can't really sleep on Houston, who, won by like 40 points in their conference championship game, so they're coming hot.
Let me say this about Houston. I didn't mean to cut you off. Houston's defense, I believe, is only giving up an average of 56 points on a year. And if they could bring that lockdown defense, they could make a run to the Final Four.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, like I said, whoever makes it out of this bracket, could really, really get their own championship in themselves, So, yeah, we'll see how everything plays out. A couple key matchups that might be down the road if we're looking at it. I mean, Baylor, if they make it through, get to the Elite 8, you know what I mean? Do they play Ohio State or Arkansas? You know what I mean? That could be a game to watch. Any games that you're looking forward to down the road, either in the West or the South, where you think could be a potential Sweet 16 or Elite 8 matchup that like you're really going to have your eyes on?
Me personally, I'm looking, again, if you want to scroll down, not the West, if you want to scroll down for a moment, my damage is going to be done in the East here. It's going to be on the left side of the bracket. Michigan, again, I think is the most vulnerable number 1. That 8-9 is not going to be a cupcake game for them. Florida State, I think, presents problems for Michigan. Texas definitely presents problems for Michigan. Alabama. So, I mean, there's teams that could knock Michigan out. And I think as far as the number 1 goes, that is the most likely, I believe, to fall first. If you want to scroll up for a minute. If we look at the West, I think this is the bracket where you're going to see the most noise and the most Cinderellas coming out of here. Again, especially look at that 5-12 and that 4-13. I'm telling you, they're going to be good games. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the Elite 8, I expect Gonzaga definitely to be there. Baylor definitely to be there. And who knows what else could happen. I mean, the number 2s are solid. The number 3s, all number 3s are solid this year. So I could see each one of them getting there. And yeah, it's gonna be exciting. one way or the other. We're definitely going to get, hopefully, there are no replacements. I know there's replacement teams on deck, but hopefully we don't get to that point. But I'm really hoping that we just have a clean tournament, where no one gets knocked out with COVID or any bullshit like that,
Yeah. I mean, the matchup I'm most looking forward to, if these teams could get there, is in the East bracket that you mentioned. I mean, Texas playing Alabama, I think could be a classic. You know what I mean? As long as they both get to the spot right here, I think that's going to be a great basketball game to watch, really enjoyable. It's going to be a lot of points to be had and just two great teams battling each other, you know what I mean? And potentially the winner of that game is going to move on to the Final Four if we believe that Michigan's not ready yet, How do you feel about that game if they get there?
If they get there, I think Alabama, Texas will be an instant classic. Texas coming in both teams coming off conference championships. I think, though, Texas right now is playing the better basketball. I really think that, again, Sims is going to be hard to stop inside. Alabama was a bucket away from losing to LSU. So Alabama screwed me twice this year. I mean, they're Jekyll and Hyde too. It all depends on what Alabama team shows up. They shoot, I think I saw 25 to 30, anywhere from 25 to 30 threes a game. If they're not hitting their shots, I mean, they could be an easy out. And Texas is going to try to pound the ball in sight. So that's going to be a contrast, but I look forward to that matchup.
Awesome. And then just to let everybody know, we are running a bracket for JLR. And we have a load of people on here. You know what I mean? We're talking about we're over 45 people looking to get above 50. If anybody is looking to join or has any friends that they want, you could always message us on our JLR Facebook website or you could just, request a friend, whatever you need to do to get in. But we are looking for people up until Thursday to even Friday morning to get into the bracket.
Yeah, definitely come join us. It's a $10 entry fee. The payment information is available right there in the group message. And fill out the bracket. We're going to have a nice prize pool. I mean, we're talking 60% of what? How many in there? 46, 47 right now?
Yeah.
So we get 50. I mean, that's $260 odd dollars. I mean, the more the merrier. Also, we're giving away a bonus, which we're pretty excited about, up to a $30 value on top for the winner. So that's even more incentive to get in.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, hoping everything runs smooth. This is a pretty wild year, and if anybody at all, gets kicked out due to COVID, you know what I mean, and you're locked in, we're just going to have to play through it, you know what I mean? So hopefully none of that happens, but it's something to keep an eye on, especially after the conference championships with Kansas, Virginia, that happened to them, so we'll have to see how everything goes. And like I said, if you want to join and be a part of JLR bracket, just sign up and you can ask for a request or we can take care of you.
Yeah, let me just elaborate on that quick. With the tournament, we will, if you don't feel safe playing the bracket this year, and I don't foresee many people doing this, but we will give 100% refund back to you up until the time of the first tip on Thursday. Now, that's the first four. So again, we'll refund you 100%. However, once that ball tips on Thursday, you're locked in. So you're not going to be able to save Gonzaga. Unfortunately, they come down with COVID. Again, everybody's on a level playing field at that point. So the bracket's going to count. And we made that an agreement. So, I mean, other than that, make sure you give us a like on Facebook or join our Facebook page as well. We're always looking for new followers. And we came off a great weekend. I mean, we had 2 winners on Sunday. So that was always great to cash 2 tickets. We've been on a pretty good run. So definitely give us a follow on Facebook.
Yeah, and like always, good luck with your tickets. Good luck with the bracket. And hopefully everybody could be a winner.